at KBLA1580.com and let us help you connect with our loyal listeners. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. Money to Bud.
We going. My pants poster sad. We going ultra. Yeah. We going ultra black. I got a toast to that. We don't fold it. We going. Occasion we rose to that. Going postal. We going ultra black. Watching the global change. Hopping the coldest range. Hit boy on the beat. This poster slap. We going ultra black. We going. Rhythm and blues, pop, rock, soul to jazz, till my toes attack. How I look being told, I'm not supposed to brag. Nobody fault, I tell the truth, I know what's facts. We ultra black, gray stone, skin tone, but multi that. Multiple colors, we come in all shades, mocha black. Except where I'm at and not fight me on it. Emotional stares like I might be wanted. Pitch black like the night, I'm ultra black. Sent for the sun, reruns, jokes are black. Oh yes, God bless success. We going ultra black, like the S is fast. Hawk with a mask on, the freshest breath. African black soap, caress the flesh. Super fly the Mac, sitting fly in the lack. Take the boat on the water, history talks with my daughter. My son will be my resurrection. Constantly learning lessons. I never die, you get the message.
KBLA Talk 15A. We're still on our Hit Boy. Hit Boy tracks. But it is my pleasure right now to welcome live in the studio. Always love it when folks take time to come in. A candidate. She grew up in a union household, became a member of AFSCME at a later time. A mama and a grandmama. She most recently served as External Affairs Manager for the California Department of Justice and California Attorney General, the current Attorney General, Rob Bonta. She previously served as a Compton City Councilmember and worked for then U.S. Congress members Janice Hahn and Diane Watson. She's now running for state senate to continue her fight, she says, for our communities and put working families first. Michelle Chambers, welcome.
Wow, thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here at KBLA 1580, especially with you. And I want to thank you for always being at the forefront of these conversations, forming our community, and keeping your ear to the ground, being in touch.
Well, being in touch, speaking of being in touch, you do a great job of being in touch, not just when you're running for office, but just in terms of whatever's going on in the ground, in the community.
Absolutely.
And I want to thank you for that. So... Let's talk about why. We talked about this during the primary, but not everybody heard that conversation. You are running to replace Stephen Bradford,
yes,
state senator, who is termed out.
And has endorsed me to succeed him.
And has endorsed you to
Yes.
succeed him.
Yes.
So talk about how that came about.
Oh, well, first it came about as, they were looking for someone who not only the community trusted, but has served this community with integrity, intentionally, with leadership capabilities, and someone that the community knew is accessible and responsive to them. But first, I have to say, with all transparency, there's a lot of women's organizations who are in Sacramento who look at women who've been running or who previously ran, and they reached out as well. But they reached out, and I'll be honest, they reached out to Mayor Asia Brown. And Asia Brown said, no, go get Michelle Chambers. And they reached out to, and then Senator Bradford just so happened to be in the same alignment at the same time. The universe aligned very well. He reached out to me and said, hey, would you want to consider this? And after thoughtful prayer and speaking to my family, my husband, and at the time I worked for the California State Attorney General, Rob Bonta, I spoke with him, and everyone said go. And the Attorney General gave the most supportive statement. He said, you cannot control timing, because I had just gotten there. I've been working for him for maybe a year when this came about. And he said, you cannot control timing. You'll make an awesome senator. I support you, and you got this. He said, go. And so it's been ongoing and full speed ahead since. And I again want to thank Senator Steve Bradford for looking at me, trusting me with his district, trusting me with his legacy, trusting me to continue on with policies and legislations, particularly for this community and for all Californians. So I'm honored.
Right. And you can't control timing.
No.
So here you are running. But now that you're in, and I know we've talked about this before, that you consider yourself to be a progressive unless something has changed.
No, yes. Yes.
What's your vision? I mean, I'm sure that even though, hi, Stephen Bradford. Hi, women's organizations that want you to run. Once you're committed, you have a vision for what you plan to do.
My vision is I envision a California that's for all of us. Every day I walk out my door, I see the inequities and the social injustices facing and plaguing my community. From those unhoused, suffering mental health, substance abuse, the inequities, unemployment, the rents, those things. My job is not done. So that's my why. I'm glad, again, to have the support that I have, but also the experience that I have to come and carry this through. And there's another reason why I was tapped for this position. Now is the right time. Now is the time. We look at our political climate, and just to be clear, I'm not a politician. I'm a public servant. I can't sell Avon.
Okay, so when you say not a politician, a public servant, what's the distinction for you?
I'm for the people. I'm not for myself. And I'm not saying that's the definition of a politician. I'm not a career politician. I don't look at this as a career position. I'm here for as long as the people need me to be. And I'm okay with moving on. Can't you tell?
Yeah,
I don't have
apparently.
to be in a position for a title to do the work for the people. In any capacity that I serve in, I'm going to always serve for the people. But now as their senator, they have me all to themselves in this district to work hard, to work alongside this great legislature, to work side our governor, to work side our local municipalities, our counties, to improve the lives of those here in this district.
When you listed a bunch of important things, if you had to choose top 3 priorities for you as a legislator, hit the ground running, what are those?
Oh, definitely our unhoused community members. Definitely. That is one thing that I am excited to just get my hands on. Definitely want to tackle those suffering with mental health and substance abuse. And definitely as soon as I go, we got to finish our reparations. We got to finish our reparations, but there's a lot of things, Dominique. When we say 3 is just not going to hit me at that door. I'm at 50 hitting me at the door,
right,
but I already
right.
have a plate for each one. Our senior protections, our education, our child care, or again, addressing affordable housing here in this community. So when people say 3, it's so hard to name 3 because I can't leave out a demographic. I have an entire plate. My plate looks like a Thanksgiving dinner at my grandmother's house. It's a lot.
And that district, I mean, it encompasses a lot of what we consider cities.
Communities.
Communities,
Yeah,
thank you.
I go from the airport to the Port of Los Angeles.
Yeah, it's a lot of
It
folks.
is a lot. But we're ready. I've served this entire district for 15 straight years. I've never left this community. I've never left public service here. And that's why, again, the community supports me so much. I've never left. I've been continuously serving them. And again, from the tip of this district down to the water.
And when you are in a quest for office, it's always a quest for money.
Always.
Always. I mean, it's one of the
You
things.
wake up begging.
Yeah, it's one of the things that scares
Did
me
I call
about
you
being
yet?
a politician. No, you haven't. Anyway, ring, ring. Wait, we're on the air. No, but the reason I asked the question is because some folks put limits on who they will take money from.
Oh, for sure. And then there's folks who just have no shame who they take money from. I think when you look at who's funding your campaign, that's telling you what that person's going to champion for when they're in that position. Case in point, I am supported and my campaign is funded by labor, unions, nurses, teachers, environmental organizations. So parent parenthood, working families, that is who I'm going to champion for in that rotunda. And if you take money from oil, tobacco, big pharma, the same folks that Trump is taking money from, that tells you what they're going to champion for in Sacramento. And none of that is what this district supports, what this district needs, and what this district is made of.
So you're saying you don't
No.
take those dollars?
No. No.
That makes it a little tougher to compete.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't at all. I have integrity, and I stand on what I believe in, and this community doesn't deserve it. I come from union. I come from a working family. I was a mother who needed state-funded child care to go to work. I lived in low-income housing. If anyone understands the plight of my community, it is me. So, no, I'm not going to waver. I'm not going to take dollars just because it's coming my way or someone offering me money to channel their special interest. If it does not align with my community, my moral compass, and my integrity, then it's no, and I'll stand on that.
And you brought it up. You're not just a mom. You're a grandma.
I'm a Grammy.
You're a Grammy.
5 superheroes. I am a boy mom and a boy grandma. I have all sons and all grandsons.
Wow.
Who I love.
And that, I mean, people over the years have talked to me about maybe running for office. So far, I like my microphone. But
we get you.
Well, I don't know. But the reason I bring it up is because I always think about my children, more,
Yeah.
and how does that affect,
Yeah.
The kids and the grandkids.
It does. I've been in this public service space for over 30 years. My oldest is 33. Thank God for a supportive family, a family that comes from public service who understands my journey and my plight. But I missed a lot. When you're out here, representing the people, family sacrifice. They miss, mom, they miss the wife, they miss the daughter at certain events. But if you've attended my swearing in, and when I swore in for Compton City Council, and my youngest son, it was not a dry eye in the house. He said, I get it, Mom. I see why you were out Christmas giving out toys and on Thanksgiving giving out turkeys. I get it. And I thank you. And he said, my children always said it made them better people. They out here advocating. They're out here knocking on doors and making phone calls. And I'm proud of the young men that they are. I'm proud of the family and the lineage that I came from. And it comes from public service, giving back, being the change that you want to see in your community. And me being able to do this is solely because of my family's support. I've not missed a meal, can't you tell?
You look perfect.
Thank you. But because of them and their love and, of course, their prayers and support is why I've been able to be in this space for so long.
We're talking with Michelle Chambers. She is currently a candidate for the California State Senate, and we will continue this conversation. We got a lot to cover. When we come forward, it's a tough race right now. It's now a 2-woman race, and we'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit more about reparations. We'll talk about her plans, all that straight ahead on KBLA Talk 1580.
Thank you.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. Tabitha Smiley's new book, The Covenant with Black America, 20 years later, is now on sale everywhere. This classic text shot to #1 on the New York Times bestsellers list almost 2 decades ago. If you have the original book, you will surely want to get this 20th anniversary edition with powerful new contributions from today's leading voices. This 20th anniversary edition presents a compelling blend of historical insights and contemporary urgency in this critical and unprecedented election year. Get your copy of The Covenant with Black America 20 years later today.
Order for Jennifer C.
Is this my double shot, double cream, double froth, double pump, double hot, double whip, double sleeve?
Yeah. Can you handle that much caffeine?
Hey, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Well, I do now.
Seriously, did you know Discover automatically doubles all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year?
Yeah, you just said that.
Did you say I just said that?
Yeah, I'm cutting you off.
Did you say you're cutting me off?
You earn, we match. Unlimited cashback match. See terms at discover.com/credit card.
Hey, what are you doing up on the step stool?
About to clean these light fixtures. The whole family's coming over. And if there's even a speck of dust in the house, my abuela will find it.
Here, I got a Swiffer duster to help with that.
A Swiffer what?
A Swiffer duster. It has this cool extendable handle that reaches 6 feet to get high and low, with fluffy dusters that easily trap and lock dust.
So, no more step stool?
No more step stool.
Easily trap and lock dust from hard-to-reach places with the Swiffer duster. Love it or your money back.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelinos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
This is the story of the one. As a facility technician installing a new welding station, he knows getting the ventilation right is critical for safety. That's why when questions arise, there's Grainger. Grainger offers detailed technical product information online at his fingertips, so it's easy to find what he needs. Because when it comes to safety, having answers means he and his people can breathe a little easier. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
So this new dose is... nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
Right now, Michelle Chambers is my guest. It says on her shirt, Michelle Chambers for State Senate, in case you were wondering what she was running for. So this race has gotten kind of contentious.
Yeah.
In a way.
And I apologize for that to everyone.
To the voters.
To the voters,
I mean,
sure.
there is something sad about seeing two black women going at it.
It is.
But the LA Times has not been at all shy about sort of stirring the pot in this race.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The people, they don't deserve this. When anyone is running to represent the people deserve to hear, what your plan is and your priorities for them and how you're going to impact their quality of life. For me, again, I try to stay above the fray. But to be clear, when you attack my family in a certain way or, step out of that place, then, you have to say, okay, then maybe I have to look at this differently and address some things. My opponent did a poll early in this race asking voters, would you vote for someone whose brother died of heroin-laced or fentanyl-laced heroin? What does he have to do with this race? And if anything, it showed that my opponent is against those who are suffering with substance abuse and would not champion for those services if it showed anything. And that poll clearly came back in favor of supporting that person. And now that's a taunt. And so.
Okay, but for folks that are not familiar, your brother is Michael K. Williams.
Michael Kenneth Williams, who you all knew as Omar from HBO's The Wire, Boardwalk Empire, Chalky White. To me, he was Mike. To me, he was Michael. Our birthdays are a day apart. It's my best friend. September 6, 2021, I remember where I was at, Was it the Governor Gavin Newsom's fighting a recall on Crenshaw when I heard of his death. And so...
and a great actor, by the way.
Thank you.
A great actor, your brother.
Better brother. His last show, I don't know if you remember, Dominique, he did a show on Vice, the Vice channel. And Mike went around to communities addressing, inequities, drugs, cartels and crime, gang violence. And his last show was with me in the city of Compton in April 2021 addressing the brown water.
Wow.
And that was his final show
I did not
on
see
Vice.
that. I feel like you brought up the polling because you felt a way about it. What was that you felt when you heard that?
The first thing I did was I just looked to heaven and told him I'm sorry. I'm sorry that...
You told your brother?
Mm-hmm. I told Michael, I looked at it and I said, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your struggle, someone has used your struggle, is their political gain, is a political ploy. And he didn't deserve that. My brother wanted to live, But there's many who are in his position who are struggling with substance abuse. So that was the first thing I did. I, of course, was very upset. But it would have strengthened me. It strengthened me and empowered me to continue to get out and advocate for resources for those who are struggling with mental health and substance abuse. I'll address the fentanyl crisis here in California because it is a crisis. But it just showed what kind of person I'm up against. And that this person will do anything, whether there's just some things that are immoral. And that's where it went. And I just told him I'm sorry. And I know if he were here, thank you, that he would be on this journey with me as he was in when I ran for city council. You heard him on the radio. You seen him out with me. He held my first fundraiser. I miss him.
Yeah. Well,
sorry.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you cry, but folks need to understand, and not everybody follows closely, the news the way that I do, and the way that you have to.
Thank you.
LA Times had an article, I believe it was yesterday. South LA candidate was charged with stabbing a woman in 1993, says their friends. I would note this article comes after, 2 weeks after, an article in LA Focus where the woman herself wrote a letter to the editor entitled, Michelle Chambers did not stab me. Talk about that, because I think this is something that, Michelle Chambers, she's from Compton, she once stabbed somebody.
Right.
It's, it plays into a lot of fears and stereotypes, especially in this particular election cycle.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I was 19 years old, over 30 years ago. And this Rhonda is my good friend. We're still friends, till this day. And we were young, and they're good friends and things, I was defending myself, which she admits, and she gave a great statement. I want to thank her publicly for coming out, because she didn't have to. They went to this lady's house, the other's campaign, traveled 3,000 miles away, to harass her for a statement. That's how she got involved. And she reached out to me, because we're still friends. She was like, hey, what's going on here? And she said it did not happen that way. So I want to thank her for speaking up for me. But again, it was, two young folks, young moms. I had just had a baby, and she was, I think, a month or two. I didn't know she was expecting. But again, I was defending myself. It was something that we both regret happened. We all made, mistakes that young age, 19 years old. And that definitely took responsibility for my role in this.
You had a public defender.
Absolutely. And that's what happens in our community. I lived in low-income housing, had a public defender. What I was charged with was definitely not what I was found guilty of. And the reason why those charges were is because someone was harmed, but definitely she was not stabbed. It's made it seem, that happened, and that did not. And I'm glad Miss Toby set that record straight. And again, I'm running my campaign on my platform, on my experiences. I'm running my platform on this district and focusing on what I'm going to bring to this district. And anyone who goes 30 years back to look at, they need to look at their own platforms. But again, just 12 years ago, my opponent, if you look at that just happened in her big grown age of 60. And I'm 19 years old. It still does not, and by no means am I ignoring that it happened. But you know what? I'm glad that it came out and the people can see that I'm human. They can see that I have a great story and a testimony. I don't look like what I've been through, but that's also why I advocate for reentry in these spaces. I do great work. Then shout out to Susan Burton of the New Way of Life and Smart Justice advocates who are supporting me because of those second chances. That's why I work in the city of Compton with those coming home from incarcerated facilities. I remember, Dominique, after that happened, I had to check the box. You remember the ban the box? I remember that feeling, and that's why I advocate so hard for these spaces and anyone in these spaces. But again, it was, I was young. And then shortly after, another... You
were young, you had a public defender, you pleaded out, which is what happens to a lot of young people.
When we don't have access and resources to attorneys and paid attorneys, and, you get hit with, you see all these charges, they boost up on you, and then when you get to court and the DA says, the judge says, well, you know what you charged her with is not really what happened. and they listen to it. But I'm glad again. I want to apologize to my good friend, my sweetheart, Rhonda Toby, for this even happening over 30 years ago. I apologize to her. Then again, we rode to court together. Her mom kept my kids. Our kids are friends. We're family.
I mean, this is why a lot of people don't run, but it's opposition research stuff.
Yeah, but it's okay. It's okay because you know what? It's making me who I am. It's who I am today. And again, it's going to show the voters and those in this community on why I am the best candidate.
Molly Bell's in the chat. She says, God bless Dominique. One of my first full-page ads in my wonderful nomination by African Focus was from our guest, Michelle Chambers.
Oh, we love
Thanks,
Molly
and
Bell,
what a
straight
joy.
out of Compton.
She says running for office is a burden. She also says when you run for office, every little thing comes out. They should include in those write-ups what a person has done for the enrichment of the office. Support her. She has been real.
Amen. And you know what? That's what it is. Dominique, I show up. I thank you, Miss Molly Bell. I show up. And again, I'm not shying away or running away from, things that happened in my past. If you go back 30 years ago, that's fine, but it made me who I am. It made me who I am. And again, one thing I have never done is misappropriated funds. I have never used any of your money for my personal gain. And again, that just happened 12 years ago.
And of course, you're referring to accusations that have been also published in the LA Times about your opponent.
Oh, they're not accusations. They happened, and she was held accountable for them.
I mean, yeah, that's how she ended up leaving office.
Right. And recently, this, and the people deserve to hear that. The people, and I think that we have a district that will look at both candidates that have discernment and know that one thing they do not like, especially those in the city of Compton or any voter, anyone, does not like their state funds or their federal funds and their tax dollars used for your personal purpose. So just know that as your senator, every dollar that is allocated to this community will be used for this community and for you. And that's something that you can't say on the other side.
Talking with Michelle Chambers. She's running for state senate, and you're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. The presidential candidates are busy on the campaign trail. Former President Trump was in Miami, Florida Wednesday for a town hall broadcast on Univision. Vice President Harris also held a campaign event in Pennsylvania. The suspect in the Appalachia High School shooting and his father appeared in a Georgia courtroom. GBI investigators testified that the 14-year-old meticulously planned the shooting, documenting it in a notebook. He faces 4 counts of murder, and his father faces multiple charges as well. Former One Direction singer Liam Payne has passed away at the age of 31. Reportedly, he fell from a 3rd-floor hotel balcony in Argentina. State police are investigating whether the fall was intentional or accidental. And Disney is introducing a new way for guests to skip the line in their theme parks. Lightning Lane Premier Pass will launch at Disneyland next week and at Orlando's Walt Disney World on October 30th. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart. Uh-oh. She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Dodgers pitching staff dialed up another postseason shutout. The 8-0 win over the Mets Wednesday night in New York was the 4th shutout for the Dodgers in 8 playoff games. The Dodgers are up 2-1 in the best-of-7 National League Championship Series. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts used 5 pitchers. They teamed up to limit the Mets to just 4 hits. Starter Walker Buehler got 2 key strikeouts in the 2nd inning to escape a bases-loaded jam. Game 4 is tonight, first pitch at 5:08. Tennis legend Serena Williams is recovering from a health scare. The Compton native had a cyst removed from her neck on Tuesday. Doctors said the cyst was not cancerous. Hampton University removed their interim tag from head football coach Trent Boykin. The HBCU school made Boykin the permanent coach. Hampton is 3-3 this season. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
From the first day of kindergarten through the day they graduate high school, in California, 38% of students attend a public school that fails to meet minimum health standards. That's why we need Prop 2. Voting yes on Prop 2 will fund urgent repairs at local schools, protect kids from toxic mold, asbestos, and lead, ensure clean drinking water, and repair leaky ceilings and storm damage. Yes on Prop 2. To fix what's actually broken. All funds go to local schools without raising taxes. You heard that right. So join the California NAACP, nurses and teachers, and vote yes on 2. Because all our kids deserve a safe place to learn. Ad paid for by Yes on Prop 2, sponsored by Nonprofit Education, Labor and Business Associations. Ad committee's top funders, California Building Industry Association, Coalition for Adequate School Housing, California Teachers Association.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
My friends swim no matter the season, but my moderate to severe plaque psoriasis can sometimes take me out of the moment. Now, thanks to Skyrizi and clear skin, count me in. With Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection for adults who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy. 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
Thanks to Skyrizi, there's nothing on my skin, and that means everything. Ask your doctor today about Skyrizi, the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis, and visit skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Continuing these important election conversations, always grateful when folks come in and sit down with me in studio. Michelle Chambers is joining me. She's running for State Senate District 35. That is the seat currently occupied by Senator Stephen Bradford, who is at the heart of the reparations firestorm when the legislators, our California Legislative Black Caucus, decided not to bring some bills to the floor that the community was counting on to in particular. And people were very upset. I think for that reason, because those 2 bills were Bradford bills to create an agency, a Freedmen's Agency, for the state of California, and a funding mechanism for reparations programs and any possible future funds, that this particular seat is seen as key for those of us who are reparationists. What would you say to us? What should make us feel that we could count on you?
Yes. First, I want to give a major shout out and thank Senator Bradford for all the work he's done in this space. California is a state that the country watches. And so other states were looking at this, waiting for California. I wish that just know that I had the opportunity when I worked for the Attorney General. Remember, the Attorney General, the task force was under the Attorney General's preview. So I helped work on those projects. I helped work alongside the reparations task force, and I look forward to bringing those bills back as soon as I hit the floor. That'll be my first priority, working alongside the California Black Caucus, who's endorsed me in this race. And so that's important, that I have the respect of this caucus and my future colleagues. And I know they want to do this. I know we want to get good work done together, but reparations is a priority for me. And what reparations looks like. Again, me having that first inside vision to this task force. I wish it would have went on to the governor and let him make that decision. It did not. And so I just want to say, as soon as I get there to the people, they can definitely trust and count on me to pick that back up and work alongside the Black Caucus and as well as the other members of the Senate and Assembly on passing this most important, critical legislation.
And I understand this has become somewhat of a controversy within the race between you and your opponent.
What, reparations?
Yeah.
I don't know. She isn't for anything. It's for the well-being of my community, I don't think. But I don't.
Well, hopefully I'll have a
what
chance to ask her
what
face
she
to face.
believes in. But I know who reparations is for. My grandparents were slaves. In South Carolina, my family, every family reunion, we go to the plantation.
Grandparents?
Yeah,
That's
great grandparents.
Great,
Okay.
Yes,
great grandparents. Yeah, right. That was almost set down. Huh? My great grandparents, but that's still close. That's still close. My grandmother's mother. It's not like my grandmother's mother's mother. So
no, it's very close. My great. Yeah, I have.
Still,
we some of us can see. So. Based on that, you agree with the conclusion of the California Task Force that the cash benefits, direct benefits, should go to descendants of enslaved Africans
absolutely,
in America.
and those other. I want to look at reparations as a broad brush, painted with a broader brush. What does reparations look like, and how are we going to be repaired and made whole? This country was built on our ancestors' backs. So reparations is not only cash. Let's look at some education reparations. Let's look at some housing, some property reparations. We still have folks in prison for marijuana. Let's look at criminal justice reparations.
Right.
So when we talk about reparations, I'm talking about repair us and make us whole.
Proposition 6 is on the ballot, which came out of that reparations task force. Even though some will argue it is or it isn't, it would end involuntary servitude.
Yeah, we have to. Those who are incarcerated, or doing this involuntary servitude, if you will, involuntary slavery, however you want to look at it, it's not what the R in CDCDR is, and that is to rehabilitate. That is what we have to remember. That main word in CDCR is to rehabilitate. And when they are serving in these other capacities, they're not allowed to go to...
Which is California
Department of Correction.
Correction Rehabilitation, yeah.
So we want to look at that R. California is the department, corrections, but that last R, rehabilitation, is what I want to focus on when we talk about addressing our criminal justice system, and that is the first start there. Instead of using the involuntary slavery, if you will, why don't we focus on the rehabilitation programs, the rehabilitation projects, and fixing and rehabilitating the person? Because when they're in those other positions, they can't do the others, and sometimes there's a penalty for that. So that is what this proposition is to do, and I hope voters get out. I want to shout out again Susan Burton from A New Way of Life, who's really been at the forefront of one of the folks at the forefront of this proposition. So Smart Justice California. We got some hard, strong advocates in this space. A lot of those who are supporting me, and I just hope the residents get out and see it for what it is.
So before we move on, which I guess they're saying I wasn't clear, but I feel like I was clear. But to be clear, crystal clear, you have no problem picking up bills similar to what Senator Stephen Bradford
To be
did.
crystal clear, I will be picking up those bills and working alongside the California Legislative Black Caucus and all the colleagues in the Assembly and the Senate and the Governor's Office on passing these legislations.
You got a lot of folks supporting you.
Thank
You
you.
mentioned the CLBC, but it's beyond that. Talk about the ones that you think are most instructive to us to understand where you're coming from.
Well, before we go there, I want to thank you for your endorsement and your support of me.
Right,
I wanna
of course.
thank
I mean,
you.
I do my very best to ask the tough questions to
Yeah,
everyone during
yeah.
these conversations. But I have consistently said that,
Thank you.
if I lived in the 35th, I would be voting for you without hesitation.
Thank you, and we'll give a shout out to Jasmine Canick. Our folks in these media spaces have been very good to me. LA Sentinel, and guess what? The LA Times endorsement. So
Were you surprised by that?
You know what? I was not surprised. I thought they were going to stay out because of this mess, but they seemed through it.
No, they did endorse you, and I thought it was interesting
Yeah.
considering they've been carrying front page, top of the fold,
Yeah.
these controversies.
And I just think that it was an educational piece. I think they wanted to do like you and like everyone else, some others have been doing, is just trying to lay out there how they did it. We can disagree to
Right. I
agree.
mean, we know how to do news on one hand and editorial on the other hand.
another. Yeah.
Still,
So it definitely didn't look good. Didn't look right. But I thank them for their endorsement. But also they have the endorsement again of the incumbent. Have the endorsement of majority of the senators. That speaks volumes. Senator Lola Swalwell-Cuevas has just been amazing. Assemblymember Tina McKenna are the two who have really taken my campaign from the onset, along with other black women in this space. But also Senators Lena Gonzalez, Maria Durazo. I got all the county supervisors' support. But again, I think the most important endorsement is going to come from the voters. And again, I'm the labor candidate. SEIU, AFSCME, the California Federation of Labor. Shout out to Yvonne Wheeler, our black president of LA Federation of Labor.
Yeah.
Have their support. But the teachers, California Teachers Association, California faculties, UTLA, California nurses, the environmental voters, which is important in our community. But again, having the endorsements of, mayors and council members, community members, faith-based leaders, but having the endorsement of my next colleagues is important because that means that, one, they choose me to legislate alongside them, that they trust me to legislate for this district, and also that it shows that when I bring my bills and things to the floor that I have the support, and that's what you want. My opponent has none. My opponent has not one senator. And I think, again, that speaks volumes where the legislature said, we want Michelle Chambers. So I pray that this district, and I know you have many watchers and followers and listeners, and I just pray that they see in their discernment of who they best feel is representing to represent them in this district, and that it is Michelle Chambers.
Michelle Chambers is my guest. She's running for seat 35 in the California State Senate, and we will continue our conversation when we come forward, only right here, KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This truck season, think about all the things you can do in a Chevy truck. You can even just with impressive towing, incredible bed and tailgate functionality, and multiple powertrains. Chevy Silverado, the first ever Silverado EV, Colorado and Tahoe have what you need to get things done. When you want to do it all, Chevy's got you. It's Chevy truck season. Get 0% financing on all 2024 Silverado 1500 pickups when you finance with GM Financial. Chevrolet, together let's drive. 0% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $27.78 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 9.3%. Must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 10/31/24.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at WalkGoodLA. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Okay, so we're here with Michelle Chambers, who's running for Senate District 35. I don't live there, but it's very highly watched because it's the seat held by Senator Stephen Bradford, who has endorsed you. LA Times has endorsed you. And it's interesting, they say, one of the critiques they say in the endorsement is, well, we could be worried about you leaving office soon because you left Compton to go to the Attorney General's office, left the Attorney General's office to run for this office. But they say that your tenure at Bonta's office, her tenure at Bonta's office, no doubt offered valuable perspective beyond Compton. What do you say about people who are worried that you just want to hop from one opportunity to the next?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I will serve all of my 12 years in the state Senate. One. For two, I could not serve as the External Affairs Manager for Department of Justice and serve on the City Council. And I still served my city. And I really served my city on a larger scale, working for the Attorney General, addressing homeless issues, addressing street takeovers, addressing fentanyl crisis, working alongside with hate crimes. So I really was even more, I feel I was more beneficial in that position. And still, again, living right there on 134th and Nestor in the city of Compton, never left, continue to serve my community in my city, continue to show up for my community. So no, I am not going anywhere. You know that I am accessible. You can count on me to stay there and lead you. Not to mention, I know I'd be better served for my city and my community in the state Senate because I'm sure that any state funding is allocated to my community is used for just that. I will have an office in Compton City Hall.
Speaking of offices, where's your campaign office before I forget?
My campaign office is at 8617 South Crenshaw.
Accepting volunteers now, I imagine.
Accepting volunteers, canvassers, phone bankers, please come out. But I really want to get back to, I am not going anywhere in this seat. I plan on initiating commissions, Senate commissions, senior commissions, youth commission, education commissions, veterans commissions. Would love for those to come on board alongside me and help me make policy. But no, I am not going anywhere. And again, I could not serve in both capacities. That is one of the regulations, of the Attorney General's office. And to be clear, my opponent served in the California State Assembly for less than a year and went to Congress. Other folks, if you feel, again, I'm not one of those folks who have to stay anywhere. I want to go where the people want me to go, and the people are going to send me to Sacramento, and that's where I'm going to stay for them, because we got money to get here. We got support services we need here, and I'm not going anywhere until we get them for the 35th Senate District.
Michelle Chambers, you while we're clearing up mess.
Yeah.
You were also accused in an LA Times article, well, really accused by your opponent, I believe, of calling a Latino council member in the city of Compton a racial slur, or calling their child a racial slur, went in reference to Latinos. And that person is Isaac Galvan, who was
Isaac Galvan, who has a lot of criminal issues going on himself.
for actual election fraud. And I mean, I almost skipped over this question, because when the conflict with Galvan happened in real time, we talked about it on the air.
Yes.
And the anti-black campaign that he had mounted towards you. At that time,
they put my family in danger. And this is what my opponent is resurrecting.
So what really happened? Did you call him or his kid a racial slur?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I wouldn't call a kid anything. And the racial slur he accused me of calling, I didn't even know what it was. I never even heard the term before. And so when he accused me of this, mind you, this was happened in closed session, where he said that this happened.
Not publicly. So the only witnesses would have been other council members from Compton.
Correct.
And at the time, everyone said they didn't hear anything.
Correct.
But now you have some folks stepping forward that said that they think they might have heard you say that.
Which is a problem. Which is a problem with them. One, it was never said. An investigation was done concluding that. And both the city attorney then and now, city attorney then was in this meeting. Both the city attorney then and now and the investigating entity all stated that this never happened. This investigating entity is total separate from the city of Compton and all of us. We never met them, never knew who they were. They were total independent. Mr. Galvan, who accused me of this, never participated in the investigation, never showed up. All of my other colleagues stated that I did not say this. Then they come back now and say the reason 3 years later and say, oh, she may have said this. Well, and the reason why they say they didn't say anything is because they thought there'd be violation of the Brown Act. Well, once the city attorney stated it was not a violation, that was an opportune time to say, well, maybe I heard, because they know it didn't happen. And it's funny that now that they're supporting my opponent, that they will come out like this, but I can't want to get too much into it because there's some legal issues that's happening behind that. So I just want to say that this definitely is not going anywhere.
And just to be clear, you, since we're all into clarity this morning, you are not anti-Latino.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I have been, thank you, shout to Dolores Herrera, who has endorsed me.
Right.
I have been.
I mean, Dolores Huerta, who's like
absolutely. Dolores Huerta is amazing.
An MLK for the Latino community.
Senators Lena Gonzalez, Senators Maria Elena Delgado, all of them have all supported me. And since this has happened, I've gotten even more support from our Latino communities because they know me. They know Michelle Chambers. You would never say anything like that. I've been an advocate, staunch advocate for our Latino communities, supportive services, ensuring that we have our language barriers positions in place, the agenda to the city of Compton being translated. Make sure we had translated supportive services. Ran ICE out of my community when we had the previous sheriff. So be very clear. If anyone is an advocate and an ally for our Latino community, it's Michelle Chambers. And I also want to share this. When I was accused of saying this, when that happened, and after it was proven I did not, you never heard nothing about it. Ever heard nothing about it?
No retractions. No apologies. Yeah.
Well, no, not only that, but you never seen no one come and hold a press conference.
Right.
No one asked for me to come off of the city council because they didn't happen. And again, Galvan never said anything about it. He's not saying anything now.
Well, we've only got a couple minutes here. I definitely don't want to leave on that note. I want to leave on your vision. So let's spend the time talking about Michelle Chambers, the senator, and what your vision is for that.
Again, Dominique, I always say that we need real change. We see the challenges that our community face. And again, I just want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart for their support, their blessings, their prayers, all those who've made contributions and endorsed me. I thank you for seeing me in this position. I thank you for trusting me in this position. And so again, I am your senator. I am your accessible senator who's going to bring real solutions, real funding resources, real community development, homeless resources, those suffering mental health and substance abuse, livable wages, looking at what affordable housing is in our community, addressing all of the issues, your pocketbook issues, your everyday issues. I am not one who's in this for myself. And look at who is supporting my campaign. I have not paid for one endorsement. Everyone who's endorsed me, every last endorsement comes from those who genuinely believe I am the best candidate.
We've got a minute here. We were talking about Latinos because of that incident or that allegation. But close the deal for Black voters.
For our Black voters.
Why are you our best choice?
I'm your best choice because, again, I see that we've been behind the 8 ball too long. It is time for Black Americans, those here in the district in itself, to look at the lack of resources that we have. We see right now we're trying to get the Black Student Advancement Project in our schools to address our inequities and education disparities between our young Black boys. We see that. We see that we're behind the 8 ball in a lot of employment opportunities here in our own community. We see that the housing discrimination right here in our own community, buying houses, renting apartments or renting houses. We see the healthcare disparities in our Black communities versus the critical health issues versus the care of services. We see that in our community. So we need to be at the table. We need to be supported in these spaces. And you need to have a senator who has that, not only the vision, the integrity, the wherewithal, and the support to make it happen for us here in the 35th Senate District. But be clear, I'm a senator for all. I am a senator for every ethnicity, every human, every baby, every child, every senior, every veteran, every business owner. I am your candidate who is going to support you, assure that your quality of life will improve under my leadership.
All right, we got to leave it there. It's MichelleForCalifornia.com. You have to spell it out, Michelle, F-O-R, California.com.
California.com. Please phone bank volunteer. Thank you, KBLA 1580.
Thank you, Michelle Chambers.
Thank you.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. The presidential candidates are busy on the campaign trail. Former President Trump was in Miami, Florida Wednesday for a town hall broadcast on Univision. Vice President Harris also held a campaign event in Pennsylvania. The suspect in the Appalachia High School shooting and his father appeared in a Georgia courtroom. GBI investigators testified that the 14-year-old meticulously planned the shooting, documenting it in a notebook. He faces 4 counts of murder and his father faces multiple charges as well. Former